Oldies 99.9. Greatest hits of all time. Oldies 99.9.
Oldies 99.9 WODE. The station that plays the feel-good songs. It's songs that pick you up, even when Mother Nature is in a bad mood.
Raindrops.
It always seems like a sunny summer day when you crank up the feel-good oldies.
Oldies 99.9.
You'll see now, think what the future would be with a poor boy like Don't go away, please go away. Although I know I want you to stay. Don't go
Frankie Valli and the Four Seasons kicking off hour number 3 of our Sunday Night Hall of Fame reunion show with yours truly, Rod Wolf, on Oldies 99.9 WODE. Coming up in just a couple of minutes, we're going to have a mini concert from Peter Noone and Herman's Hermits, one of the past stars of Stabler at the Oldies Spectacular from Laneco. Stick around for that. Peter Noone and Herman's Hermits coming up in just a couple of minutes on the original Sunday Night Hall of Fame.
Is where
Brownie and the Ronettes in the Sunday Night Hall of Fame. Come on, baby.
Come on, baby. Don't say me.
Best part of breaking up is when you're making up.
Come on, baby.
You're listening to Oldies 99.9 WODE and our Legends Weekend, and you are just a couple of minutes away from our tribute to Peter Noone and Herman's Hermits. Here's Gary Lewis in the Playboy. She's just my style.
Every time I see her, she don't even look my way. Maybe she will notice me, but then what would I say? I would say what's on my mind, but the words are hard to find. But I'm gonna try to tell her anyway.
Don't you know that she's
Just my style,
everything about it?
drives me wild.
Don't you know that she's
Just my style,
everything about it?
drives me wild.
Don't you know that she's
So fine. Other guys who meet her may not think she's much to see. I can't begin to tell you what she always does to me. Maybe it's the clothes she wears, or the way she combs her hair. Oh, that makes me wanna tell her that I care.
Don't you know that she's
Just my style,
everything about it?
drives me wild.
Don't you know that she's
Just my style,
everything about it?
drives me wild.
Don't you know that she's
Fine, so fine. Maybe it's the clothes she wears, or the way she combs her hair. Oh, that makes me wanna tell her that I care.
Don't you know that she's
Just my style,
everything about it?
drives me wild.
Don't you know that she's
Just my style,
everything about it?
drives me wild.
Don't you know that she's
Fine, so fine.
Don't you know that she's
Just my style,
everything?
Gary Lewis and the Playboys on the Sunday Night Hall of Fame reunion program on Oldies 99.9 WODE. This is Rod Wolf. How you doing? I have been promising you an interview and mini concert by Herman's Hermits, Peter Noone. We're going to take you back to 1988 to one of the great Lanco Christmas Spectaculars here in the Lehigh Valley. And, you know, every year I think there's an artist that steals the show. A couple of months ago, it was B.J. Thomas. Back about 10 years or so ago, it was Peter Noone. And I dare say that when we presented this mini concert originally, it was one of the most requested shows of all time in the Sunday Night Hall of Fame. In fact, we had to repeat it. I think about a year, maybe 18 months later, we played it again. Here's a little bit of the Peter Noone and the Herman's Hermits mini concert from 1988.
You're listening to Rod Wolf on the Lehigh Valley's original Sunday Night Hall of Fame.
WAEB.
The greatest hits of all time from the station that made them famous. WAEB.
We begin our story on November 5th, 1947, when Peter Blair Dennis Bernard Noone was born. I asked Peter to tell us where he was born, why he wound up with so many names, and is it possible he possesses the longest name in rock and roll history?
I was born and raised in Manchester, England, and then my parents moved to Liverpool, which is kind of up, I would suppose. When I was christened, or baptized, whatever it is, I was Peter Blair Noone. That was my mother's brother's name, my mother's maiden name, and my father's surname. And he was unhappy that he wasn't involved. So then they put Dennis in, and my mother's other brother, she had two brothers, and he was unhappy that his brother had been mentioned. My dad had been mentioned, and he wasn't mentioned, so they added Bernard. I have an uncle who's a priest called Bernard, and he got in there as well, so there's a bunch of us now. I got everybody, Peter, Blair, Dennis, Bernard, my dad's name and my mother's two brothers' name. But it is the longest English name. It sounds sort of regal, you know, it sounds like I must come have some royal blood, but in fact it's Irish, Scottish and Welsh.
I'm going to Kansas City, here I come. I'm going to Kansas City, here I come. They got some crazy little women there, and I'm gonna get me one. I'm gonna stand there on the corner of Swell Street and Vine. I'm gonna stand there on the corner of 12th Street and Vine. With my Kansas City baby and my Kansas City wine. Yeah, I might take a plane, I might take a train, but if I have to walk, I'm gonna get there just the same. Going to Kansas City, here I come. They got some crazy little women there, and I'm gonna get me one. Yeah. I'm going to Kansas City, here I come. I'm going to Kansas City, here I come. They got some crazy little women there, and I'm gonna get me one.
Peter Noone was attending the Manchester College of Music when he joined his first rock and roll band. It didn't last long, but he soon was at it again. I asked Peter about his early musical career and how he came to name the new band Hermits. At this point, I should mention that this interview was conducted backstage at Stabler Arena. The stars of our Christmas Spectacular use locker rooms for their dressing rooms. Now, due to Peter's wealth of charm and wit, I was already finding it hard enough to keep a straight face when suddenly in the background we hear evidence of just where the interview is taking place.
Hermits originally started it started from about 5 different bands. I was in Manchester College of Music and I met these chaps who were studying music there, and we decided to form a band. And that lasted about 1 gig, I think. We did 1 gig in an upstairs hairdresser's party or something. And something went wrong, and I was the guitar player. So you can imagine how good we were. Then I met a guy called Alan Wrigley and Steve Titterington, 2 guys, and they had a band called the Heartbeats, and I joined them. And then we got Carl Green, he had some band, and Keith Hopwood had another band. And then Derek Leckenby and Barry Whitwan were in a band called the Wailers, and we brought them in and we called ourselves Hermits. And the rest is pathetic. It's a nice blush. A royal flush. It's difficult to do this, isn't it? Maybe now they've stopped. Okay, we'll try again. The name Herman came from the Bullwinkle show. There was like Sherman and Professor Peabody in the Bullwinkle show, and we thought his name was Herman. So we called me Herman, and we were working in what was a bar, but it was because we were all too young to be in bars. They didn't serve alcohol while we were there. So the barman, who was already unhappy that we had long hair and looked terrible, says, "Why don't you call yourself the Bloody Hermits?" So we did.
Yeah, home and rhythm getting in my shoes. It's no use of sitting here singing the blues. So be my guest, you got nothing to lose. Won't you let me take you on a sea cruise? Ooh-wee, ooh-wee, baby. Ooh-wee, ooh-wee, baby. Ooh-wee, ooh-wee, baby. Won't you let me take you on a sea cruise? Yeah, I feel like jumping. Baby, won't you join with me? I don't like begging, but now I'm on my bending knees. I gotta keep it moving, get my hat off the rack. I gotta boogie-woogie like a knife's in my back. So be my guest, you got nothing to lose. Won't you let me take you on a sea cruise? Ooh-wee, ooh-wee, baby. Ooh-wee, ooh-wee, baby. Ooh-wee, ooh-wee, baby. Won't you let me take you on a sea cruise? Baby, I ain't lying. The heart is beating rhythm and it's right on time. So be my guest, you got nothing to lose. Won't you let me take you on a sea cruise? Ooh-wee, ooh-wee, baby.
It's 1964 and Herman's Hermits are trying to secure a recording contract. A European star named Mickey Most was the individual who helped the group get that contract, and he would go on to produce all their biggest hits. Peter Noone remembers how Mickey Most came to manage the group and how Capitol Records managed to miss out on not only the Hermits, but another one of the biggest groups of the British music invasion.
Mickey Most, I saw him he did a show, he toured, and he did Manchester one night, he opened for the Everly Brothers. It was the Everly Brothers, the Rolling Stones, and Mickey Most. And he opened the show, and he was great. He was great. And he played the guitar, and he played all kinds of songs that I liked. And then the next night we saw him again, Everly Brothers, Rolling Stones, and it was before the Rolling Stones, they were unheard of at the time. And he was great again, and I thought it was really cool because for some reason my sister had something to do with the Everly Brothers, so I went backstage and I was really impressed. They all Everly Brothers, who were big stars, got out and got on a bus, but Mickey Most got out of backstage and got in a Porsche. I said, this guy is happening. Because he'd had a big recording career in South Africa. He was a big superstar in South Africa. He was bigger than Elvis. So I was really impressed with this guy. And then I heard a record by the Animals, like Baby Let Me Follow You Down or something, really early days Animals. So I called him up and I said, you should produce us. And he said, who are you? I said, we're this band called Herman's Hermits, we're great. And he just ignored it. So we sent him a plane ticket, and a first-class plane ticket to Manchester, which is about 200 miles from London. And we prepaid a night in the best hotel. And he came down and watched us and signed. What he did was he wanted to sign me, he didn't want to sign the band. And we'd signed with EMI for the World, which was Capitol in America, but the man who was the head of Capitol at the time said, we don't want them, we've already got an English band. And he didn't want an English band, so he dropped the Dave Clark Five, who were also signed for free, and he dropped Herman's Hermits. That's 100 million records. Yeah, they had the Beatles, yeah, and he thought, we've got an English band already, and they're not going to happen, so why will the other ones happen? You know, it was before the British invasion.
For your love, for your love, for your love, I'd give you everything and more, that's for sure. For your love, I'd bring you diamonds and things right to your door. For your love, to thrill you with delight, I will bring you diamonds bright. There'll be days that will excite, make you dream of me at night. For your love, for your love, for your love. For your love, for your love, I'd give the stars above. For your love, for your love, I could give you all I could. For your love, for your love, for your love, I'd give the moon if it were mine to give. For your love, I'd give the stars and the sun, for I live. For your love, to thrill you with delight, I'd give you diamonds bright. There'll be days that will excite and make you dream of me